Hi, I'm Alyssa Peters. I'm the health coach with Platinum Wellness. And in this video today, we're going to cover all of the most important information about the program that Dr. Infantino has put you on. The phone number that I reached out to you on is the best way to contact me throughout your program, so make sure you save that in your phone. And I do really want you to pay attention to all of the things that I'm covering today, so make sure you have a pen and a highlighter ready so that you can take notes. If you don't have one, please pause the video and go grab it because there's going to be a lot of information. I know Dr. Infantino already gave you a lot, so it can just help to jog your memory down the road so you don't forget things outside of our appointments, because of course I'll always be there to answer questions for you as well. So let's get started. If you can flip to the second page in your book, it says Platinum Cleanse Quick Start Guide. It looks like this. And this has the main points that you'll be following day to day in your program, okay? So the first one talks about the calories you're gonna consume. When we have our Q&A call later today or this week, I will give you this information, so don't worry about that number quite yet. I will want you to track your food and those calories every day in the journal, which is in the back of your book, and we'll take a look at that in just a bit. And there's also a calorie index in your book. It's on page 101, and that can be a really helpful tool for tracking those calories. In terms of water, we want you to consume half your body weight in ounces of water each day. You'll see there's some important notes here. Definitely avoid tap water. There's a lot of nasty junk in there. And then we do want you to use distilled water specifically during your detox phase of your program, and we'll talk more about what that looks like. But otherwise, you can use purified, you can use RO water, all those different options are fine, just avoid tap water, okay? In regards to your supplements, I'm sure you noticed there are quite a few that you'll be taking, and how to take them in terms of when during the day and how many of each is going to be listed on the journal pages, which again we'll take a look at. I do recommend taking your supplements with food in your stomach just to prevent any nausea, and because they'll be pretty new to your body, so we don't want to overwhelm your system. Also, ideally each day we want you to finish your food and supplements by around 6 p.m. or at least 3 hours before you go to bed, and ideally you're going to bed around 10 p.m. okay? If you are taking blood pressure or blood sugar medication, we do want you to track those numbers daily. If you don't take them, then that next bullet point is not applicable to you, so don't worry about that. Over the course of your program, there are going to be a few different detoxes. If you are doing a 12-week, there are going to be 3 detoxes total. The first one is a 5-day, and the second and third one will be 3 days. And these are what we call liquid-only days, but you're going to be making a mixture that will take the place of food on these days. So you're definitely not going to be starving. Your body's going to get all the nutrients and energy that it needs from this mixture. And keep in mind that this detox period is completely customizable. So if you see it and you're feeling a little overwhelmed or wondering how you're going to get through it, don't worry. Don't think too hard about it right now. Wait till we talk in our call and I can tell you more about what it's going to look like, how you're going to get through it, and then, like I said, if we need to customize it, we absolutely can, okay? The next point is discussing exercise. For the first 2 to 3 weeks of your program, we really don't recommend any exercise. Your body's going through a lot of changes and it can be very taxing on your system. With that being said, if you're someone who likes to walk, that would be fine to continue, but please let me know if you are exercising regularly or even walking regularly when we have our Q&A call. So now, if you can flip to page number 2 in your book, you'll see that down in the bottom right-hand corner. And this page and the one following goes over the different therapies that we offer with our program. So if you are doing therapies with your programs, this will give you a little more information about what you'll be doing. But you will do these once a week unless otherwise decided by Dr. Infantino. You'll go into the office and you'll do all of them in a circuit. So if you are doing the whole body vibration, you can expect to be doing that for 10 minutes. Just wear comfortable shoes that your feet aren't going to slide out of. comfortable clothing, something similar to what you would go to the gym in, and bring water with you. And if you're doing the exercise with oxygen therapy, those same dress code pieces apply there, and that'll be for 20 minutes. And then if you're doing the infrared sauna, you'll be in the sauna for 30 minutes. We do have a patient gown available that you can wear when you go into the sauna, or you can just wear whatever your undergarments are, or even a bathing suit. It's completely up to you on what you're most comfortable in. I definitely, again, recommend bringing water for that. If you want to bring sandals to wear in, you can, but usually we'll have a towel on the floor so you won't be sharing foot space with others, so to speak. You also have a towel in there to dab yourself off with if you're sweating, which you likely will be. And we do not have showers, so make sure you bring a change of clothes, or you have at least dry clothes from before you got in the sauna that you can change into afterwards. If you want to bring a magazine or a book, I definitely recommend that. It can help pass the time. I do not suggest taking electronics in because of the temperature. All right, so now if we can flip to page 14, and this section talks more specifically about that detox period that I mentioned. And I just always like to point out that as your body is flushing these toxins out of your system, much like when you're sick and you start to experience some symptoms like maybe a fever or a cough or other things our body does to get the virus or bacteria out, you may have similar symptoms when your body's flushing toxins out. And that's what we refer to as the healing crisis, okay? So there's no guarantee you will experience these, but I always like to point them out so you're not surprised. And honestly, if you experience them, it's a really good thing. It means your body needed this. So I would say the most common things, you could have headaches, a little bit of body achiness, some fatigue, just like kind of low energy, and a change in bowel habits. It could be diarrhea, it could be constipation. Both are really normal and completely dependent upon your unique body. So like I said, don't worry too much about this. We can talk more about it, and I've never lost a patient yet. You'll be happy to know, so you will make it through the detox, but we can customize it if we need to and make sure that you still have a good experience and are feeling good throughout your program, okay? All right, so now if we can flip to page 25, and this is your foods to enjoy section, okay? You'll notice the first category is vegetables, and honestly, we want you to eat a ton of vegetable. There's a huge variety here. Feel free to mix it up. Our bodies love variety. It'll also help you from getting too bored from what you're eating. I'd say at least 50% of what you eat in a day, or if you're looking at a plate, 50% of that should be vegetables. So that'll make up a big portion of your food intake. Not necessarily calories, but your food intake. I do like to point out that mushrooms, we do want to limit that to 1 cup per day. And then if you find where it says winter squash, it says sparingly. So that's referring to butternut squash, spaghetti squash, acorn squash. You can have them, but we just want you to limit it to maybe once or twice a week and be mindful of the portion size. Zucchini and yellow squash are summer squash, and you can have those as much as you'd like. In terms of leafy greens, I would definitely try to incorporate at least 2 cups of these a day. Again, a large variety of options. I know some of my favorites are arugula, spinach, and kale, but feel free to mix it up and definitely try some new things. You'll be surprised how your palate changes as you go through the program. The next page, it starts off with fruit. And you'll see there's a note there. It says after day 22, if approved by health coach. So depending on your unique health issues, I may or may not introduce fruit in your program at a certain point, or it may not introduce it at all, depending what's going on with you. You'll see there are a few that are bolded. Those are fine for you to have from day 1. So that'll be the avocados, lemons, limes, and tomatoes. All fine from day 1. Everything else we're holding off on until I give you the go-ahead. And make sure you note that coconut is listed in this fruit category. So if you're someone who likes to use shredded coconut flakes, hold off on those until I give the approval, okay? The next section is lean meat. So this is where you're going to get majority of your protein, aside from our protein powder that you got from us. You'll see that we're cutting out some things. You'll get to those on the avoid section. For a lot of people, lean meat is going to be chicken and turkey. We do want these to be actual cuts of meat, not deli meat. Deli meat is not approved on the program. If you do like seafood, there's a number of different fish options, and you can do shrimp. So where it says shellfish, you can do shrimp, you could do oysters, clams, if that's something you like. And then there are some other unique options on here, pheasant and quail. If you enjoy those, feel free to include them, but these are all just options. You don't have to do any particular one of them, but we do want you having protein every day. And ideally, you're gonna have about a 3-ounce portion of protein at a time, and I'd say 3, maybe 4 times a day. You should be doing that. The next section says limited grains and legumes. So this section itself is completely optional. So you do not have to include it with your program, and if you do, you don't have to have it every day, but there are some options and we want you to know those are available. And that would be brown or red lentils, brown or wild rice, and then quinoa. And you'll notice there's a little note there that says you can do up to 1 cup total per day, not 1 cup of each of them. So if you wanted to have a half cup of rice with breakfast and then a half cup of quinoa with lunch, that would be completely fine. You just wouldn't do 1 cup of each. And then ideally you're gonna have them with your earlier in the day meals and try to avoid dinner time. On our program, for the most part, dairy is not approved. You do have the option to use some grass-fed butter, like the Kerrygold brand is one that we really like. It does say sparingly though, so I would suggest in terms of cooking that more often you're cooking with oils than with butter. And then you also can do eggs, up to 2 whole eggs with the yolks included, and then after that you can have more egg whites, as many as you'd like. So for example, if you are someone who likes hard-boiled eggs or an egg salad, you could have hard-boiled eggs as a snack or egg salad for lunch and still have an egg white omelet for breakfast. All right, flipping the page, it starts with dressings, broths, and condiments. So if you are someone who likes to have dressings on your salad, most of us do, but there are quite a few who do not, so don't feel that you have to use this. Again, it is just an option. A brand that we really like is the Tessemae's salad dressing brand. In the beginning, you'll want to make sure that you're not getting any that have honey in them, and I believe there may be one that has soy, and we are avoiding soy on the program. So you should have received a paper that has a bunch of different dressing bottles, and those are all of the ones that are approved on the program. I've already taken a look at the ingredients, so you're good to go there. If you like Asian flavors, Bragg's liquid aminos and then coconut aminos can give you somewhat of a soy sauce flavor. Bragg's is a little bit saltier, and then the coconut aminos are a little sweeter, so it just depends on your flavor preference there. You can use broths in your cooking, either chicken or vegetable. Again, check the ingredients. You want to make sure it's additive free and no sugars in there. If you like kimchi or sauerkraut, you're welcome to include those with your program. And then you can use vinegars as well. We are going to avoid balsamic, but you can use red wine, white, apple cider, and unseasoned rice vinegar. There are a few different types of the rice vinegar, so make sure that you're double checking those ingredients as well. In terms of oils, definitely want you to include these in your diet. It's a really good source of omega fatty acids. Make sure it's unrefined for all of them if you are using these. Coconut oil is great, and avocado oil are both really good for cooking. They do well with being heated. And then extra virgin olive oil you can cook with. I'd suggest using it at a lower temperature, or you can use it unheated just as a salad dressing, maybe mix it with some lemon juice or even one of the vinegars to create your own salad dressing. In terms of salt, we recommend using pink Himalayan sea salt. You can use regular sea salt as well, or Celtic salt. In terms of herbs and spices, fresh is always best, but if you're like me and you have dried ingredients in your kitchen, just double check the ingredients. You want it to only be whatever the herb or spice is. There shouldn't be any other additives, sugars, preservatives, MSG. So definitely look those over. If it says oregano, that's the only ingredient that should be on the back. In terms of sweeteners, you can use pure maple syrup later in the program outside of your detox. So for now, I would just hold off. Definitely don't introduce it until we've added fruit in, but know that that will be a part of your detox mixture, and we'll talk more about that. You could also use our Solutions 4 fiber sweetener or stevia. So I have some patients who've liked to put stevia or the sweetener in their water and mix with a little lemon, and it makes kind of a lemonade, or mixing that with some cucumber and just make something a little more refreshing than plain water to drink. And then speaking of beverages, you do have the option to also use, to drink fresh vegetable juice. So this is like the fresh pressed vegetable juice. So if you have your own juicer, you can use that. Or I know stores like Sprouts and Whole Foods carry them. There's some juice bars, I think one's called Nectar, that you can get them from, but this is not referring to V8 or any kind of bottled, like pre-bottled, sitting on a shelf, not refrigerated vegetable juice. Okay. You can do our nutritional shakes daily, up to 3 scoops per day, except during your detox. 1 scoop is like a snack portion, and 2 scoops is a meal. So however you want to break that up in your day, you could have 3 small snacks, you could have a meal and a snack, you could have 1.5 scoop kind of snack meal in between and break that into 2. However you want to use it, just no more than 3 scoops per day. And for now, you're just mixing that with water. We're not doing any dairy, of course, so no milk, but also we're holding off on any almond milk, coconut milk, any nut milks. So just sticking with water for now. And then coconut water, it's kind of a gray area. I would say hold off again until we've added fruit in, and then after that we can talk about how frequently you could be having it if it's something you want. Again, completely optional. Now we're going to flip to your foods to avoid. So for vegetables, we are going to avoid the more starchy vegetables. So this will be potatoes, sweet potatoes, yams, large amounts of squash. As I mentioned before, the winter squash we're doing sparingly. We're also avoiding corn and corn products, so that'll include popcorn. And then again, no more than 1 cup of mushrooms per day. Most people don't seem to mind that one. For fruit, again, waiting until approved by me. With grains and legumes, really, unless it's on that list of the 2 types of lentils, the 2 types of rice, or the quinoa, it's a no-go. So any flour-based products, breads, pastries, tortillas, even gluten-free, all other grains that are not on the list, anything with wheat, even oats, oatmeal, and then legumes, so beans. And that will include hummus because it's made from the chickpea or garbanzo bean. And also notice, again, soy is a bean, so no soy on the program. In terms of meats, we are avoiding all processed meats. So again, no deli or lunch meat, bacon, sausage, even if they're chicken, they're still processed. So no bacon or sausage, ham, hot dogs. We're also avoiding beef, lamb, and pork. And again, with the dairy, unless it's your grass-fed butter or your eggs, no dairy. So no cheese, yogurt, sour cream, ice cream, whipped cream. I know for a lot of us that is the good stuff, but it is so worth it to cut it out of your system. It becomes easier the longer you avoid it, and your body will notice the difference, I promise. On the next page, it starts with sweeteners at the top. So these are the ones that I'd say are going to most likely show up in an ingredients list. You're not really doing a ton of packaged food, so it shouldn't be an issue, but it's here as a reference. So speaking of that, I do suggest either taking pictures of your food pages to have on your phone, refer to when you're shopping, or take your book with you. But it's very helpful to have this list available so you're not wondering if you can or can't have something or having to return things. We also have a section in here that goes over food additives of things you'd want to avoid, so I definitely suggest checking that out as well. It starts on page 53. The next category in the foods to avoid section is the fats and oils. So all butter substitutes, margarine, Smart Balance, Earth Balance. I can't believe it's not butter. Really, unless it's that grass-fed butter, we're avoiding it. And then any vegetable oils. So canola oil, soybean, grapeseed, peanut oils. Definitely want to steer clear. In terms of nuts and seeds, you do have the option to include these on your program. I would say hold off for at least the first 2 to 3 weeks. And then if you want to include them, we can talk about it. Definitely no more than a half cup of any nut or seed per day. So if you add some, say, pumpkin seeds on your salad and you want to have some nuts for snack later, make sure you're paying attention to those portion sizes. And then ideally we want them to be raw or sprouted. Definitely avoiding any kind of roasted or salted nuts. And if it is salted, make sure it's sea salt. We're going to avoid peanuts altogether as well because they're actually a legume. For beverages, obviously alcohol is out on the program. Also any artificially sweetened drinks like sodas, all caffeinated drinks. So coffee, green tea, black tea, even iced tea, it's made from black tea, energy drinks. Also decaf teas and coffees as well because they've actually been put through a process to pull the caffeine out. So they're processed, and that's not something we want you to have. And oftentimes there's still a little bit of caffeine in there too. In terms of herbal teas, gray area again. If you are wanting to include them or it's something that's already a part of your routine, the caveat is that it needs to be organic and naturally caffeine free, not decaffeinated, naturally caffeine free. And there are tons of options here. I can definitely find them at Sprouts. A really good quality organic brand is Peak Teas, and that's something you can check out online. And then we're also avoiding fruit juice, obviously. And this last category I think is pretty self-explanatory, but we're avoiding all fast food and junk food. So keep in mind, even like a salad from Chick-fil-A technically is fast food because that chicken is processed for sure. Any restaurant food items that are not on the approved list, obviously. You can still eat out on this program. It just takes a little planning. If you know ahead of time you're going somewhere, I'd be happy to look over a menu with you and we can see what your options are and talk about how best to order it or ask for things to come on the side or be cooked a little differently. Mixed seasonings and spice rubs with additives. Again, if you're looking at the ingredients, it should just be whatever the herb or spice is, no other additives or preservatives. We would like you to avoid tobacco and other stimulants. If you are a smoker and this is a struggle point for you, talk to me about it. We can figure out the best way to incorporate it in your program if you're wanting to quit and willing to make that change. And then also the vinegars, again, we're avoiding balsamic and also malt vinegar. All right, so now if you can flip to your journal section in the back. So you should have a tab that says Daily Journal. And the first page looks like this. It says Day 1. I do want you to look at your journal every day and make sure you're following along because it'll have your supplements listed out and it'll also give you information about what's going on, right? So for the first few days, it just says eliminate fruit, only food, choose foods from the foods to enjoy list. In terms of tracking your food, you'll see there's options for breakfast, mid-morning snack, lunch, mid-afternoon snack, dinner. You do not have to have the snacks. You could just have one snack. The important thing is that you are hitting your calorie goal each day. So making sure you're writing out everything you're eating, including if you're cooking with oils or butter, those need to be added in there. If you're using any kind of condiments, there's not too many that are approved, but the dressings, you can use mustard on the program as well, not honey mustard, but you could use a Dijon or yellow mustard. There's coconut aminos, vinegars, all need to be included. And then in terms of how you're doing. There's a section where it says log any emotions or situations that affected you today. So here is where I want you to keep track of how your body and your mind is responding to what we're doing, right? So things like, are you having any digestive issues like bloating or gas? Are you having changes in your bowel habits? Track how many bowel movements you're having a day. A lot of people are surprised to realize they're not as regular as they thought they were to start. It gets better with our program. How's your sleep? Are you getting 8 hours? What's the quality of it like? And then your energy level. How is it? Is there certain points through the day where it's not as good? So all of these things are really good indicators about how your body is responding to what we're doing. And it'll allow me to know if we need to change anything up. Toward the bottom of the page, you'll see there's a gray box, and this has your supplements listed for each day. So for day 1, you're only taking one supplement. It's called your appetite appeaser. All of your bottles are labeled with the names on them, so you should be able to find them pretty easily. For day 1, you're taking one appetite appeaser in the morning, and you'll see there's a number next to it in parentheses. It says 1 here. That's how many you'll take. So 1 in the morning, 1 in the afternoon, and just a reminder, you're taking it with food, so 1 with breakfast, 1 with lunch, nothing that night for dinner. When you flip to day 2, you'll see you start taking the rest of your supplements. And there's a note there in that emotions and situations box that says, start with your AM supplements, take them slowly. I would say take them over the course of a few hours, right? So take your appetite appeaser and then the 2 body purifier, wait maybe 10 minutes, then take your digestive enzyme blends, wait 10 minutes, and just give your body a chance to adapt to everything, because these are all new to your system. So we want to let everything settle in. Most people have no issues with our supplements though. So in that case, then you would just follow up and take your afternoon supplements with lunch and then your evening supplements for dinner. If for any reason you do have an issue where you're just not feeling good, something feels off, text me and we can modify it if need be. All right, and then at the very bottom, you'll see it says lifestyle guidelines. These are really just memory joggers for you. So anything that's new or different in your routine. Are you following your nutritional guidelines? Did you take your supplements, track calories, stay within the calorie budget? Honestly, that one I'm not too concerned about. If you're a little over your calories, that is totally fine. We really don't want you under it. So be at your goal, a little over, not under, okay? Drinking your water if you're exercising when we add it in, because remember, the first at least 2 to 3 weeks, no real exercise other than walking, ideally. It asks about sleep, and then you'll notice it asks about a gel and a lotion. Those are optional add-ons for your program. If you're interested, let me know. I can send you more information about them, and we have them available at the office. And there's a space to write down questions for your next appointment so that you don't forget about them when we meet. In terms of your journal, each week we will have a coaching session. So we'll schedule that in our Q&A call. I will want you to send me pictures of your journal pages. So please make sure you are keeping track of things. It's a really helpful tool for me to see what you're doing, to make any suggestions and give feedback. Without you really doing this work here, I can only be of so much help. So for the first 6 days, that's all you're doing. You're following your nutritional guidelines, you're drinking your water, taking your supplements. Day 7 is going to be what we call a veggie prep day. And so when you look at this page, you'll see it says in bold at the top, veggies only. Highlight that. So when you get to this day, you don't forget what you're doing. And it also tells you you're avoiding meat, eggs, grains, nuts, and legumes. You're only consuming veggies, ideally fresh, and if you can, lightly cooked. Raw's okay too. You can also do avocados, those approved dressings and oils, and your nutritional shake if you'd like on these days. So you're gonna have 2 veggie prep days, so day 7 and day 8. The important thing to keep in mind here is I still want you to hit your calorie goal on these days. So if you need help with what foods to include or some recipes for that, let me know when we get there. And then we get to day 9. And this is your first detox day. So you're gonna notice that page looks a little different, and that's because you're going to be replacing food, as I mentioned, with a mixture that we're going to have you make. Now, you should have received a plastic sipper bottle. I have mine right here. Okay. So you should have received a bottle just like this. And it actually has the recipe on the back of the bottle. The first line is going to be for lemon juice. The second line is for maple syrup. And this third line on the side is distilled water. So we want you to use fresh lemons to make this. So you're going to be squeezing them. I do suggest, if you don't have some kind of citrus squeezer or juicer, to get one. I know I got my first one at the dollar store, so super cheap, but at Walmart, Sprouts sell them. And you're going to juice out the lemons depending on the size and how juicy they are. It could take anywhere from like 6 to 8 lemons per bottle. So you'll squeeze the juice out. I always do mine over a measuring cup. It's about a cup of juice. So just get to that cup line, pour it in, make sure it hits your line there. And then once you have your lemon juice in, you'll pour maple syrup, pure maple syrup, not like Aunt Jemima pancake syrup, pure maple syrup, and you'll pour it in to bring the liquid up to this next line. And then from there, you'll add distilled water all the way to the top. And so on your detox days, you're gonna make at least 2 of these per day, okay? So you can make more. Keep that in mind. You're not limited to 2, but I want you to get at least 2 because this is where your body is getting its energy on these days. And you'll see in the book that it's broken down where it's 9 a.m. to 2 p.m. and 2 p.m. to 7 p.m. And that means a bottle should last you about 5 hours. Now, depending on your schedule, let me know if you do any kind of shift work or if your day starts particularly early or late, and we can modify as needed. But I broke my bottle into 5 sections to make sure I was drinking enough each hour. So this would be 9 to 10, 10 to 11, 11 to 12, 12 to 1, 1 to 2. So you're sipping on this slowly through the day to keep your energy at a good baseline. If you chugged it all down, it would just give you a huge blood sugar spike and then you would crash, and that would not be good. Also, as best as possible in these days, we still want you to drink your water goal. So you're gonna be very hydrated. The water is really important to make sure we're flushing the toxins out that are coming into your system at this time. Do your best to get it all in, but I found it really helpful. I'd take a swig of this and then a swig of my water, kind of rinse the mouth out a little, and it helped make sure I was getting more water in through the day. You'll also notice on these days, if you find that gray box where your supplements are, your supplements look different. So you're not taking many of them, and then your fiber increases. Also, over the days, your body purifier will increase. So make sure you're looking at the supplements each day and so you're taking the correct amount. So for 5 days, this is what you'll be doing for your detox. And then you'll hit day 14 and you'll be transitioning back to veggies. Veggies will never have looked so good before. Same thing as the veggie prep day beforehand. So no meat, eggs, grains, nuts, or legumes on these days. You're back to fresh, lightly cooked veggies. I do suggest doing more lightly cooked veggies on these days than the raw if you can, just because your digestive system hasn't been processing a lot, and sometimes that can be a little much to reintroduce. Also, you can do the avocados, salad dressings, oils, and your nutritional shake if you'd like. And you'll notice that your supplements have gone back to normal here. So 2 days of transitioning, and then day 16, and you're doing exactly what you were doing in that first week again. And that's pretty much your program. Next detox is in about 2.5 weeks. That one's only 3 days. So once you've done a 5-day, the 3-day is nothing. And if you're doing a 12-week program, then you'll have one final detox to finish everything out. So I hope this was really helpful. I hope you took notes, and I'm looking forward to our call later. Please have all your questions ready, and I can't wait to work with you.